The final GameCube installment, Mario Party 7. This one's my second favorite Mario Party for the GameCube, behind 4, since it has a lot of fun maps, fun modes to play, and most importantly, a lot of fun minigames to play. That's right, today, I'm counting down my top 10 favorite Mario Party 7 minigames. Just my opinion, blah blah blah, no one else's, blah blah blah, speaking only for myself, blah blah blah, concept still matters, blah blah blah. Alright, that concludes this intro, so now, let's party Mario style. Kicking off this list is free-for-all Helipopper. Each player is flying their own helicopter inside an arena in which several balloons are floating. The players must fly into these balloons and pop them, getting 1 point for each one done so successfully, and the player with the most points when time is up is the winner. It's not so simple, however. Sometimes bullet bills will fly out of nowhere into the arena, and getting hit by one will momentarily stun a player, so I advise avoiding them. This minigame is just fun and kinda keeps you on your toes, you know, with the bullet bills. With that, I'd say Helipopper is my 10th favorite minigame. Dang, this list is just starting, and I'm already at a loss for puns. Ninth place is 2v2 Sphere Factor. Each team is rolling a huge ball across a field, and the first team to get their ball to the finish line wins the minigame. Again, it's nowhere near as simple as just pushing a ball. There are several obstacles, like logs, fences, womps, Monty Moles, and a hill, although there's a bridge that goes over it. If players don't want to fall behind or lose time, they'd better avoid all these. This minigame also requires teamwork, since when both teammates push the ball at once, it moves much faster. And as I've said a lot of times before, I love using teamwork in Mario Party minigames. That, along with just how plain fun it is, makes it clear that Sphere Factor factors 9th place into its awesomeness formula. Eighth place is free-for-all Montys Revenge. All 4 players are underground with several Monty Mole holes on the surface and 3 Monty Moles, each with a hammer. What the players must do is stick their heads out of these holes by holding the A button and releasing it when a Monty Mole tries to hit them with its hammer. The player who has spent the most time with his/her head above ground before time expires is the winner. Yes, that's all there is to gameplay. For the best chance to win, players should stay above a hole at all times, and only go back underground when a Monty Mole gets close. And when this happens, immediately pick another hole to pop out of. This minigame is fun and very thrilling, but most of all, it has a completely original, and even funny, concept. With all that, it should be clear that if you try to take 8th place away from Montys Revenge, it'll seek revenge on you. Coming in at 7th place is Duel, Give Me a Sign. Each player is standing atop 4 platforms on a river, each with a different picture on it. The nearby Shy Guy will hold up 1 or 2 flags, which will have 1 or 2 of those same pictures on it. This will make the respective platforms lower into the water. So, yes, to avoid falling in the water, the players must jump to another platform. The player who can survive the longest wins the minigame, but if both players can outlast the timer, it's a draw. This minigame's concept is cool, but overall, not that special. What makes me like it is that it keeps you on your toes, and it's kinda nice and simple. Kinda. That is why Give Me a Sign says, "Gimme 7th place, I'll sign for it if I must." Sorry, 2 duels in a row. 6th place is Apes of Wrath. Several monkeys will chase the players around because they're mad about them eating their apples, and said players, of course, must avoid them. The player to avoid the monkeys the longest wins the minigame. But there's a bit of a twist. There's no timer, so no bells to save you. The only way to win is to avoid the monkeys longer than your opponent can. Also, after a certain amount of time passes, a few more monkeys will join in the chase, making things even harder for the players. This minigame keeps you on your toes and is very fun and thrilling, and it's also just pretty funny, running away from monkeys. If you try to take 6th place away from Apes of Wrath, it'll show you its wrath. 5th place is 1v3 Spinner Cell. The lone player is controlling 2 spinners, a small one and a huge one. The huge one is covered with spikes, and he or she must try to hit the team players with it. If all team players get hit by the big spinner before time expires, the lone player wins. But if at least one team player can outlast the timer, the team wins. The huge spinner moves around pretty slowly. However, to make up for this, the small one moves around much faster, and it can be used to knock opponents into the huge spinner, or at least throw them off in some way. Also, side note, if the team wants to win, I highly recommend they separate. This minigame has an epic concept, finally, and is, once again, fun and thrilling, and keeps you on your toes. Well, if you're on the team. For those reasons, Spinner Cell spins right into 5th place. Fourth place is 2v2 Buzzstormer. Each team has their own bee-like flying vehicle, and they are racing them through a field filled with huge flowers. The first team to reach the finish line wins the minigame. Despite being a 2v2, this minigame doesn't require a whole lot of teamwork. All teammates really need to do is both turn in the same direction to avoid hitting flowers, but that seems pretty straightforward. I probably know what you're thinking. Flowers? What do they do? They'll actually slow any team that touches them down severely, thus giving the other team time to catch up if behind or widen their lead if ahead, so advising them is highly avoidable. No, wait. Well, you get the gist. This minigame is very fun with a pretty clever concept and kinda keeps you on your toes, and if you don't think I'm gonna say I've always loved racing games, a bee must have stung your brain. But as for Buzzstormer, if you try to take 4th place from it, it'll sting you even harder. Third place goes to Free-for-All Fun Run. All 4 players are running up the stairs of a tall tower, and, well, that's pretty much it. No, it's not that simple. There are a whole lot of catches. Or, at least, obstacles, such as spiny shells, which will knock players who run into them back, loose floor tiles, which will cause players who step on them to fall down, and pushing walls, which will push players they hit clean off the tower. All of these obstacles stall players briefly, so if you don't think I'm gonna say and allow opponents to catch up if behind or widen their lead if ahead, so I advise avoiding them, you must have fallen headfirst off a huge tower. The first player to reach the top of the tower is the winner. Once again, I've always loved racing games! And this one is very fun and quite thrilling, with a pretty cool concept. With all this, Fun Run runs straight toward 3rd place. Running up is 1v3 Be My Chum. The team is swimming underwater, and the lone player, using the microphone, must give commands that'll summon enemies into the water. These enemies are Lakitu, who will do what he's known for doing, throwing spiny eggs, Cheep Cheeps, bloopers, and sushis. Of course, the team must avoid all these enemies, since getting hit by one will eliminate them. If the lone player can oust all 3 team players before time expires, he or she wins. However, if at least one team player is still swimming when time is up, the team wins. I love this minigame because it's extremely amusing to send weapons, or other hazards, rapid fire towards several opponents. Not quite sure why, I just get a real kick out of it. And yes, that means I prefer to be the lone player. I do like being a team player too, but throwing the stuff is much more fun than avoiding it. That is exactly why Be My Chum is real chummy with 2nd place. Honorable Mention Party! 15th place is Duel, or DK minigame, Jump Man. The player is facing Donkey Kong in a running and climbing race, where they must also jump to avoid rolling barrels. If the player reaches the top of the course before DK, he or she wins. This one is fun and toe-keeping on with an original concept. 14th place is 1v3 Think Tank. Each player has their own tank, although the lone player's got a huge one and 10 lives, while the team players have smaller ones and 3 lives each, and the objective is to, shoot your opponents. If the team loses all their lives before the lone player wins. If vice versa, the team wins. This one is very thrilling with a pretty epic concept, and my love for shooting games. Also, a few side notes, I prefer to be on the team, and it reminds me a lot of Mario mechs from Mario Party 5. 13th place is free-for-all, the final countdown. All players are fighting atop several connected platforms with numbers. These numbers will decrease over time, and once they hit 0, the platform will open, and any player to fall through it or off the edge is eliminated, while the last player standing wins. This one is thrilling and toe-on keeping, and I've always loved again fighting games. 12th place is the final boss battle, Funsticle Course. Each player is running through a huge obstacle course, hence the name, with several obstacles, like baby Bowsers, thwomps, steep drops, moving platforms, etc., which they, for the 3rd time, must avoid. Any player to reach the end of the course unscathed wins. This one has an epic concept and is extremely fun, thrilling, and keeping on toe. Damn it, how the hell do you say that? And finally, 11th place is free-for-all, track and yield. All players are running on a treadmill-like track and must jump over hurdles, some of which are electric and will stun players that touch them. Players that don't do so with good timing could fall off the track, resulting in elimination, and the last player standing wins. This one's got a clever concept and is very fun and on toe-keeping. Nailed it! Finally, number 1. It's a 2v2, and that's all I got for hints. It's none other than Spider Stomp. Flutter has been spider-napped, and both teams compete to rescue her. To do so, they must make their way through several different areas, where spiders will appear. The players must shoot them repeatedly with their pop guns, or whatever kind of gun they are, to get rid of them, and the first team to get past every area will rescue Flutter and win the minigame. It's nowhere near this simple, since the spiders have ways of defending themselves. They'll move around erratically, along with shoot spiderweb blobs, and both of these will stun players they hit, thus... If you think I'm not about to say, giving the other team time to catch up if behind, or widen their lead if ahead, a spider must have bit your brain. But anyway, yes, if players want the best chance to win, they'd better avoid those counterattacks. I also like how each area gets harder as the teams progress, like with the amount and even size of spiders increasing. This minigame is extremely fun, thrilling, and on toe-keeping, with a very epic damsel in distress concept. All that easily makes Spider Stomp my number 1 favorite Mario Party 7 minigame of all time. So there you have it, my top 10 favorite Mario Party 7 minigames of all time. For more videos like this, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Also, please check out my social media. All links are in the description. Thanks so much for watching, guys. See you next time. Mikoro Gliscor 472, out.